Good morning. Welcome back to The Smoke. I think this is number 4. It's a nice, calm Sunday morning. Pretty early, about 7 a.m. I just finished doing some yoga for the day. And after that, I had a small meditation. And while meditating, I had a great insight to share a couple exercises which I have found extremely beneficial, being that this channel is geared towards first responders, but for everyone. Often we find ourselves in very heightened situations, traumatic, high energy situations. I work with a lot of people who often complain about their low back. The lower back is the center of emotional storage. So if you have had a string of consecutive calls and you find that your low back's really tight, or when you get out of bed it kind of hurts or it's stiff and aching, these are two things that are super beneficial for the low back, and open it up and kind of release it. And then this way you don't have that tension. You can get the sleep you need, you can walk and sit right, and you can just have better overall comfort. Back pain is a debilitator. Nobody wants to deal with it, especially as a first responder. You know how much we're on our feet moving around trying to assist the public. So with that being said, I'll just show you 2 exercises really fast that are super beneficial. The first one I do often with my yoga practice. It's called cat-cow. Now what it does essentially is stretches out the spine and moves it in a way that's wave-like pattern. It's very, very important that if you're going to practice cat-cow to release your back, that you do it in the proper way. So real quickly, we're just going to show you exactly how to do it. There's really only one movement, and from that movement, everything else follows. So let's go ahead and show you the first exercise. Hopefully, if you guys have 5-10 minutes after a call, in between calls, you're just back at the house, just waiting for something to do, feeling a little tension in the low back, this is something great you can do. Head over to the gym, give it 2-3 minutes, you'll be feeling great. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come straight down to our hands and knees, all right? I'm not a videographer, and obviously it's only my 4th YouTube video, but I like the vulnerability and being exposed and learning, and then hopefully one day I'll just go back and be like, wow, look where I started and this is where I am. But either way, getting back on track. So cat-cow, it's really only one movement. I learned it through yoga. It's super beneficial for anyone. I've heard of people doing it in different kind of aerobics classes and stuff like that too. So you don't have to be a yogi to do this. You do have to just want to feel better though. All right, so here we go. So we're gonna come onto our hands and knees. Now what you wanna do is you wanna make sure that your knees are just shoulder distance apart and you're on your knees. If you have a yoga mat or any kind of mat, that will be beneficial. And then you wanna spread your hands. I know it's funny, right? Look at my thumb, it's crooked. I know it's born like that, it's weird, right? Anyway, so spread the fingers wide, put those on the floor here, directly under your shoulders, both feet on the mat. I hope you guys can see me, okay? All right, from here, what you're gonna do is, you're just gonna drop your head. Nice and relaxed, drop the head, and then we're gonna inhale up, and we're only moving the head. So we'll inhale up, and when we're here, we'll exhale and drop the head, and we'll look towards the belly button. And we'll do that consecutively for about a minute. If you want to, you can add the breath with this, where you're inhaling on the up, exhaling on the down. So you're really only moving your head, if you can notice, up, down. It's very important that you keep your arms straight. If you'd like to breathe with the movement, you're just adding more oxygen to it. How can that not be beneficial for you, right? So just one last time to show you again, head comes up, head goes down. So as you can see, that's called cat-cow. When we are with the head up, it's more of a cow position. Cow usually has his head up, a little bit of an arch in his back, a dip in his back. And then when we have the cat, we have the head down, we're looking at the tongue, and we have the arch in the back. So cat-cow. So what that does really is it kind of moves your spine in this wave-like pattern. And that is releasing and stretching and spreading each individual vertebrae as you do that movement. And then you come back to the cow and it's compressing and spreading and compressing and spreading and compressing and spreading. This is super beneficial for the spine, super beneficial for all the energy that moves throughout the spine. Energy moves in waves. So if we can move our spine in a wave, we can get all that energy just flowing that much better, right? All right, so just from that 20 seconds, my back's feeling kind of loose. I will show you the second exercise because this exercise is honestly one of my favorite. You can ask anybody who knows me, anybody who's around me, they see me do this all the time. I do it in the kitchen, I do it in the bathroom, I do it at bed, I do it in the gym, I do it on calls, I do it everywhere because it is that beneficial. So before we get into it, I just want to explain something real quick. A lot of people have real low back pain and it's a stiffness and they have a hard time loosening this. And the reason they have a hard time loosening this is because they don't understand really the physiology of how the low back works. Now, one thing that's very important to understand about the low back is it's directly correlated with the hips, it's directly correlated to the quads, it's directly correlated to the hamstrings. So if your quads, if your hamstrings, if your hips are tight, guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna have low back pain, low back stiffness, discomfort, all right? So something that's really, really good for this, and this takes a little bit of practice because normally, if you haven't done this before, it's not something you can get into a full expression of in the beginning, but it is not challenging. Again, this is something I learned through yoga. However, you don't have to be a yogi to do this. Anybody does this. As a matter of fact, they do this all the time in baseball. So here we go. What we're gonna do is, I hope you can see me, probably lost my head out of the frame, but that's okay. So what we're gonna do is, you just wanna stand up real tall, and this is called the yogic squat, okay? Now the idea here, what makes it different from a baseball squat is that on a baseball squat, you're usually gonna come up on your toes, right? So you're gonna be on your toes, ready to catch the ball. Now I'm a baseball catcher, right? So this is different because what we're gonna do is we want the best way to keep our heels on the floor. If your heels come up, you're losing the benefit of this squat, okay? So if you have to place something under your heels in the beginning, that's totally fine as well. I'm sorry that you can't see my head. I'll work on that for the next time. Hopefully you can hear me. But here we go. So all you want to do is inhale up, arms all the way up, stretch your body out as much as you can, up, 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 high, 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 high. Bring your arms down, exhale, level, and then just squat into it. And drop down. Okay, now you're here. Now, it might be hard for you to see, but both of my feet are directly flat on the floor, and we're sitting here in this squat. Now, your elbows can sit inside. You can put your elbows outside. In yoga, we put it here at the center of the chest, and then we push them out, and we hold here. And you'll feel a tremendous pull at the back of your spine, the low base of your spine there. And you can feel it almost dissolving. In a way, you feel it's kind of like a knot unraveling itself. But you can sit here, 30 seconds to begin, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever works for you. And as you do this, you can also kind of bounce. This is working on your psoas here because your psoas muscles, which are here directly related to your low back, they run up through the hips, back behind the spine. And if those are tight, they're constantly pulling down on the spine, pulling it back, and it feels like a lot of tension. So with the yogic squat, you can sit here. This does wonders for your low back. Open it up, take some deep breaths, move around, move the head. In yoga, they say that a healthy spine is directly related to your vitality and your age. So it makes sense though. You know, I'm not asking anybody to be yogis here, but at the same time, your spine, everyone has one, and that's where every single signal goes to and is sent to your brain. So it makes sense, right? So as a little bonus, real quick, just so this video is not too long, I'll give you a little piece of advice here. If you're trying to work on your back, on your low back especially, make sure you're working on your quads and make sure you're working on your hamstrings. One thing I love to do is I love to do like perpendicular or intersecting kind of leg raise where I put my leg on the table that's almost as high as my hips, and then I can do a forward fold over that. Another one is where you're pulling your foot behind your back like this, and you're stretching out your quads. That's really good. So I'd recommend kind of doing those two stretch movements before getting into the yogic squat. But the yogic squat's the ultimate, because you're really stretching the hips, the psoas. You're really stretching the quads when you're in that, right here in this tight kind of creased gap here. So these are two things that have been extremely beneficial for me. Often I find myself carrying emotion in the body, and I mean, we all do that, so it's not something we're conscious of. It's just kind of like how we operate as humans, you know. So hopefully, if you find yourself with low back pain and you can, do some cat-cow or do some yogic squats, that will really help you. And it's available to you anytime, and it won't be a one-time thing. You'll do it multiple times throughout the day and throughout the weeks, because you'll see the benefit of it. All right. Thanks so much for coming and joining me today on The Smoke. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Until I got something to share, I'll see you next time.